Clancy is the second of 2 brawlers coming in the next Brawl Stars update, and today I'm going to pit him 1v1 versus every other brawler in Brawl Stars to find out if he's any good or if he gets cooked into a nice lobster dinner. And I do love me a good lobster dinner, just like I love today's sponsor, Warcraft Rumble. Warcraft Rumble is a strategy action game where you build your team from over 60 heroes, leaders, and spells. You can play Warcraft Rumble in a variety of ways, from over 70 single-player missions, raids, dungeons, weekly and monthly challenges, and of course PvP action from people around the world. You can even team up with your friends to take on co-op modes or join a guild and make new friends. With a huge variety of depth in the game, you can explore endless amounts of strategy, from building the perfect team for the encounter or adapting that to the many different maps and modes that you're going to face. The games only take a few minutes, so you can play it on the go no matter where you are. You can collect your favorite Warcraft characters from the 5 families, from the classic Alliance to their enemies in the Horde, but if you want to play with the Beasts, Undead, or the Blackrock, they're there too. Warcraft Rumble is free to play on iOS and Android, so go download it right now. Link is in the description. Big thanks to Warcraft Rumble for sponsoring today's video. Clancy is a mythic damage dealer and is part of the Deep Sea trio with Hank and Otis. Now, since he is a mythic brawler, he is going to be a bit tougher to get, but you will have the option of switching to unlock him when he releases in August, or a week prior there will be an in-app purchase that you can take advantage of. And if you do purchase the Brawl Pass or anything in Brawl Stars, would appreciate it if you used code LEX in the shop before you did that. It really helps support me, this channel, and my family. Now, Clancy has 3 stages, somewhat like Surge, but it is a bit different, so let me explain how it's going to work. Now, both his shot and his super change for each stage. For every shot that you hit, you gain a token. Once he has enough tokens, he will rank up. Now, the first stage is Bronze, as you can see by the little icon, and at this stage, he fires a single shot, dealing 1,600 damage at a medium to long range similar to Max. Now, his shots are rather narrow, so they can be a little bit tougher to hit. His super in stage 1 fires a barrage of paintballs in a wide cone, dealing considerable damage, especially if you're up close. At his silver stage, or stage 2, he will fire 2 shots back to back, dealing 1,600 each, or 3,200 in total, if both shots hit. Also at stage 2, his super's range is extended, and then at his final stage, gold stage, he fires 4 shots. 2 in the center, just like in stage 2, and 2 off at the sides at an angle. Now, at range, you probably shouldn't expect to hit those 2 side shots, but occasionally, I'm sure enemies are going to catch a stray here and there. Now, at rank 3, the projectiles in his super deal 50% more damage, as well as he gets a considerable speed boost. However, unlike Surge, if you die, you do not lose your rank up progress. You will respawn in the same rank and keep progressing towards the next rank. And if you make it to stage 3, well, you will just stay there for the rest of the match. Also, you do not need to use your super like Surge does to move to the next stage. It just happens when you collect enough tokens. However, it does take a lot of projectiles hitting per stage to rank up. Now, you can decrease the time it takes to rank up with his gadgets and star powers. With his first star power, Recon, you start the match with 3 tokens. It's a one-time deal, and that's it for his entire star power, but you will be able to rank up a bit faster, where his first gadget, Snappy Shooting, when activated, he will gain twice the amount of tokens for 5 seconds, which, if you hit shots, you'll just rank up that much faster. However, his second star power, in my opinion, is stronger, because with this, every time you get a kill, you gain all of your ammo back, which can be very strong, assuming you're getting kills. And speaking of getting ammo back, that's exactly what Clancy's second gadget does, as when you press it, he will dash a short distance and gain 1 ammo back. So it's defensive as well as offensive. Now, for these tests, we don't use gadgets, and neither one of his star powers really helps him out here. However, there is a massively huge difference in his ranks. So I tested him against every brawler at stage 1, and well, it was pathetic. He only defeated 12 of the 81 brawlers at rank 1 for a win rate of less than 15%. So I tried him at stage 3 and, well, he only lost to 1 brawler, and that was Bull. Like, literally every other brawler in the game gets decimated, because with 4 shots at very close range, he deals 6,400 damage per shot. Yeah, that right there, that's Frank getting decimated. So after doing that test, I thought that kind of seemed unfair and, well, not very realistic either. So I settled on stage 2, and that's how we did all of these interactions. So let's start off with the damage dealers. Now, as we see Clancy square off against the damage dealers, you're going to notice a few things. Now, the most obvious of these is just how much damage he deals. 3,200 per ammo is a huge amount of damage. That's almost as much as a full range Piper shot, and as you can see, it obliterates a lot of these brawlers. Now, quite a few of them just end up getting 2-shot like Colt, even though Colt deals more damage in that short amount of time. The other thing that you'll notice is just how much health Clancy has, or at least in this case, how little health he has. With 6,600 hit points at max level, he's not a really super tanky brawler. Now, that's not to say that he's squishy, but he's just average. His shots also unload and travel a bit slower than some other brawlers do as well. So while his damage is very high, it's not as instant as some other brawlers like Surge. Now, in a game, it's not quite as brutal as that look. I mean, first off, it's going to take you a while to even reach stage 2, depending on how aggressive your opponents are. And I'm not sure if this is just a brawler that's new to me or if I just hadn't got the hang of him yet, but he has a slightly slow shot, and I found his shots a bit harder to hit than some other brawlers. That being said, his super is absolutely devastating. It deals so much damage in a really wide cone. I mean, you can use it almost like a Griff super to deal a ton of damage in a wide area to make others run for the hills, or you can use it up close to deal just show-stopping damage, which is probably what you should do against the next group, the tanks. Now, as you saw in the intro, Stage 3 Clancy can basically kill every brawler in the game up close, and I'll show you why that even though that's true, you probably won't want to play him that way. But this is Stage 2, and these tanks, they're not scared. And for good reason. I mean, Bull is the only brawler that can beat him in Stage 3, so Stage 2 isn't an issue. And Primo has double the hit points, and he makes use of it as he lets his fists fly. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned here is his reload speed. It's not real fast, and so after he fires all of his shots, he has to wait a bit, and brawlers like Hank take advantage of that, as Clancy can just watch as the balloon grows before his eyes before he's the one who goes pop. We can see Frank's new buff as his attack speed ramps up to take out Clancy, and Rosa, well, she wins, although it's really close. Meg gets knocked out of her mech, but that's where Clancy's fun ends, and Daryl, well, he does what Daryl does up close. Now, I hear you. You're probably like, yeah, but Lex, Clancy at Stage 3 can beat them all. And yes, you're right, and I hope you don't sound like that, but let's take a look at this in a practical situation. In a game, there are going to be times where you can get close to these tanks, but remember, you don't just have to be close. You have to be close enough to smell their breath, which might be really bad if it's Frank. However, that's not always the easiest things to do, especially since you have less than 7,000 hit points. Clancy has the potential to absolutely erase any one of these tanks, and if you find yourself in an aggressive position like, say, Hard Rock Mine, then sure, I mean, you can make this work, but unless you get into that range where you're basically slow dancing with these tanks, the interactions that you just saw are probably most likely what's going to happen. Now, that being said, Clancy's ace up his sleeve is his super. Up close at Stage 1 and Stage 2, his super deals almost 20,000 damage, and at Stage 3, it's a devastating 28,800 damage for one single super. That means that you can kill not one, but 2 Franks maxed out with a single super. So in a game, this one could honestly go either way, but for the most part, you're going to want to play back a bit and wait for your opportunity to unleash Clancy's carnage. Now, for the artillery brawlers, we have throwers and Penny standing in an open field against a brawler who is dishing out 9,600 damage with 3 shots. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that they did the funeral dance walking into the arena here. None of these brawlers have the health to match up like this, and what you expect would happen? Yeah, it happens. This is not the way that you're going to want to play these throwers, but if you found yourself in a bad spot where Clancy's basically staring you in the eye sockets, well, this would be the result. Now, in a game, it's honestly not that bad of a matchup. Clancy has no means of breaking walls. He has no way of getting around the walls either. I mean, even at rank 3 where he's moving faster, if you play it right as a thrower, he's not going to be able to get to you. So as always, just stay behind a wall, do your thrower things, and you're going to walk away from this fight on top. Now, Clancy may have a long shot in his stats, but the marksmen, well, they laugh at that puny length. Once again, we see a matchup that is pretty much a lopsided affair. Angelo's fully charged shot does damage, but he can't charge up another one in time to finish him off. Mandy may have extreme range, but her power is nothing compared to Clancy. Bonnie has more health, but her shots do less damage and take longer to unload. And Nani, she gets off her second shot just in time to see Clancy fall, but both Brock and Belle may have cracked Clancy's shell a bit, but they didn't do enough because they were gone before they knew it. Maisie, however, is a bright spot here as she unloads her shots so fast compared to Clancy, and they pack a punch. Now, in a real game, I don't think it's going to be that bad. Most of these brawlers should be able to handle Clancy without too many issues because they outrange him by a considerable amount. Clancy has a range almost identical to Max, but with a slower shot and less mobility. Now, if you allow Clancy to get close in range as a marksman, you might be in trouble, but as a marksman, you're going to be on the back line, which is a place that Clancy is probably not going to get to very often. Now, assassins don't normally like to go after brawlers who can dish out this much damage, and if Clancy is at stage 3, then yeah, probably not a good idea, but at stage 2, it's a close fight. Edgar and Clancy take each other out at almost the exact same time, while Crow falls just a bit short, but he does make it a pretty close fight. Now, beefier brawlers like Buzz can absolutely boil Clancy, although Fang, with his slow unloading shots, leaves him shoeless. Stu gets a similar treatment, but Miko, he's able to take out almost any brawler in a 1v1 matchup. And even though Melody is one of the best brawlers in the game, starting with no notes, her damage just can't build up fast enough. However, Lily shows that that brand new buff that she just got with 2 ammo is huge for her as she wins this one. Now, in a game, if Clancy doesn't have a super and he's at stage 1 or 2 and you get the drop on him, almost any assassin, yeah, you should be fine. Some brawlers who like to get really close may have to be a bit more careful than others, but ones like Stu should be able to handle him with no problem thanks to his mobility. However, with every assassin, the biggest threat that you have to watch out for is his super. That ability will turn the tide in any fight, no matter how tough the brawler is. Now, support brawlers versus a high-powered damage dealer is normally a really bad matchup, and there are some here that fall into that category. Now, if Clancy is only at rank 1, then it's not too bad, but at rank 2, he becomes, well, twice as deadly. Now, some of these support brawlers just don't have the juice to stand up to this kind of damage, nor are they meant to. That being said, some brawlers like Pam and Doug have the health to withstand and the shot damage to keep up with them. And then there's Byron. Honestly, I didn't even have the heart to put Clancy at stage 2. Just stage 1 was enough to continue Byron's losing streak. Now, in a real game, as a support brawler, you're just going to want to stay out of Clancy's range and rely on your teammates, or if you have a lot of health like Pam or Doug, well then feel free to get close as you're going to have the upper hand again. Just watch out for that super because it can and will end you right away. Now, the last group of brawlers are the controllers. There is a ton of variation in this group, from brawlers who can get a clean win like Bo to ones like Willow who just, well, she's not made for this sort of interaction. That being said, overall, controllers actually put up a really good fight. Most of these matches were very close, some getting beat by Clancy, while some brawlers went down at about the same time, and then there were some who were actually able to come out on top. But from the beginning to the end of this category, the controllers actually performed above my expectations, and I think this is mainly due to the fact that Clancy's unload speed is rather slow, and it takes time to fire off both of those paintballs, giving his opponents a chance to shoot their shot and make a respectable showing. Now, in a real game, I think that what you're seeing is a pretty fair representation of how it'll actually be. It'll really come down to the map and the mode, and more importantly, your play on whether you walk away on the winning or the losing side. And to me, that seems pretty fair. So then, you have seen Clancy 1v1 versus every brawler in Brawl Stars. Is he going to be any good? Well, the short answer is yes, he's going to be good. However, as deadly as he looks, that's not always going to be the case. On the good side, he has the ability to pump out an absurd amount of damage. However, to get to the point where you can do that, it takes a while. If your opponents are playing very passively or taking you out at range, then it might be a while before you can upgrade. But if they're very aggressive, then you can probably build up those ranks pretty quickly, and you honestly shouldn't be too afraid to die with him because you don't lose your rank. However, as cool as rank 3 is with his angled shots, the extra speed combined with a crazy good super are probably the best parts about Clancy. He's going to be a pretty versatile brawler that should work well in most modes where a mid to long range brawler can do well. He can destroy a high safe faster than you can say lobster rolls, but at the same time, he doesn't have a ton of speed or range or reload speed. So with all that being said,